Good morning, my remote learners, and those of you who might be on homebound instruction, or maybe you missed class and you just need to know what to do better. We are starting a new project about Chuck Close. Chuck Close is an American painter who is still alive, and he is an artist that uses a grid system to help make his artwork larger. You can see that what you have on your assignment sheet is a portrait of one of his paintings titled Mark. Now in real life, this painting is 9 foot high and 7 feet wide. It's huge. And the way Chuck Close painted this was in a photorealistic way. He wanted to imitate the photo quality. And when he did this, he painted it square by square very realistically. And you'll see as we look at more of his work, if you've watched his videos yet, that his work has become more abstract as he has grown as an artist, but he still uses a grid system. And what we're going to be practicing today is turning this image into a more abstract looking image that is just based on values. So we're going to be using a pencil. Maybe you've got some pencils at home, maybe you've borrowed one. I have a regular HB and I have a 6B. Some of you borrowed those really nice shading pencils for the glass goblet. So if you have one, that's great. And you can see that in this project, we're working with a grid that has vertical and horizontal lines, and everything is numbered. I've got this numbered on the side and I've got letters across. Hopefully that's the way your assignment is. It might be different. Then what we want to do is grid by grid, we want to look at just the value that is happening, the darkness or lightness of each square. Now some of them, like if we look at square 9A, it's kind of a light gray. So I might want to start there. And if you want to, you can shade the whole square in, or you might even want to turn it into a circle or a smaller square. I'm going to kind of do a little circly shape, maybe kind of scribbly. So I am using my regular, it's an HB pencil, maybe you've got a 2B, and I am just shading it in with whatever style I want to. If I want to go to the corners, I can. If you want to do like a circle scribble, you can. I'm doing like a little cross hatching. So I've tried to match up that same gray. And look, this one looks about the same too. So I'm going to shade that one in with the same amount of gray. So I'm doing some cross hatching, really nice and close together. So the squares that are more simple are going to be much easier to do, and you're going to be able to just like do those values. Like let's look up here. We can see if I look at 2E, it looks very, very dark in value. I'm seeing a lot of this man's hair. So I'm going to use my 6B and I'm going to shade that square in. So again, I'm just kind of going kind of scribbly. Maybe you want to go like a scribbly square. We just want to fill the whole square with value. That one's a little messy, and you can see how much darker it is. So the easy squares are going to be easy peasy, lemon squeezy. But then let's look at some of the more complicated squares. If we look at, let's look at one that has a lot of information. 9F shows Mark's teeth. And you can see that there's a little darkness, there's the lightness of his teeth, there's like the medium gray of his lip and a little dark gray underneath. What you have to do is imagine that you're mixing all those those shades, those values together. So maybe right away I can see it looks darker than my lighter gray square. So imagine that that's like little paint blobs and you're mixing them. So I'm going to imagine that it's a darker gray. So I'm putting a little bit more pressure on my pencil, building it up a little bit. So I really just want to look square by square and imagine what's going to happen. At the end of this, you're going to have a composition that looks kind of pixelated, like if you've ever taken an image and enlarged it and you can only see the pixels from that point on. But it's going to be kind of abstracted. It's going to look kind of like a fuzzy, like we're seeing his face, I don't know, through some kind of screen, some kind of weird veil, because it'll be fuzzy. So then I'm going to look at some other shapes. Now also, I wanted to show you that if you want to, you can use, I sometimes use some little scrap papers to look at my little squares. So if I want to, I can just look at that little square right there. It's G9, and I can see, wait a minute, what happened to F? Ah, kids, I drew it in the wrong spot. I did. I might have to start my video all over. I don't know, maybe this one looks a little darker than that. Kids, that's why you might need to use a little ruler to help you. But I'm going to say that that square is even a little darker than this one because I feel like the white of his teeth in that one is going to make it a little lighter. Then I go back over here and I feel like that's pretty dark all in all. So I'm building up my value. I'm kind of scribbly. Then this one is even darker because look, it's got that medium gray and that really big hint of dark gray. So I'm gonna make that, I'm imagining I'm blending it together. I'm gonna make that a little darker like that. Can you see the difference? Like it really depends on your shading skills and your pressure and how much you can see. Now this one, look at that square. There's only a little bit of dark and then quite a lot of light. So maybe I'm going to imagine that it's a little darker than that one over there. A lot of it will be comparing different squares. So maybe it's going to look kind of like that. And then this one I feel is even a little bit lighter. Kids, I think I've messed up on my grid looking. But this gives you the idea. So if you need to, take a little ruler or like a piece of paper and you can just go square by square right up the picture and you're going to turn it into all these gray tones. I'm going to continue mine now. Now another thing, if you really wanted to, like say there's a lot of information somewhere. Like let's look at this little square above his nose. It's on F8. Say you want to kick it up a notch and you want yours to be more detailed. Let's imagine that we turn that square into 4 squares. So like what if I look at that and then I can see that this square up here where his dark nostril is maybe going to be even more gray. Then that's a pretty dark gray right there. And then it looks a little lighter here because his nose is catching the light. And then kind of a medium gray there. So if you want to divide some of those like squares that have a lot of information into more squares, I say go for it. That could be kind of fun to see what happens. At the end, we want to see that this is built out of a grid. We are emphasizing the grid that's happening in this work, just like Chuck Close is. And I think you'll be inspired when you watch his video. And after we do this practice one, I'm going to have you be doing a color one. We're going to use oil pastels or crayons or markers, and we're going to do your choice of an image. So kids, I'll post what this looks like when it's all done too, but hopefully that helps you with your Chuck Close grid practice. Bye everybody.